Friend Kim Baer, attorney at law, as we discuss some things in the world of law that you may or may not have known about. And this morning we're talking about one that a lot of people have to think about.
Yes, if you're a business owner, one of the first questions that you typically are going to have when you want to expand, if I'm going to add someone to my business, am I going to treat them as an employee or an independent contractor? And I wanted to talk about that today because we get a lot of those calls, and business owners want to try and treat people as independent contractors usually because it's cheaper. Yeah, all you're going to do is issue a 1099. You don't have to withhold taxes, you don't have to pay the employer's portion of taxes, you don't have to pay unemployment, workers' comp, and so obviously people approach us and say, how can I treat this person as an independent contractor? And it's a real tricky area of the law because if you get it wrong, you're going to be in deep doo-doo, and that's a legal term.
Yeah. That is. Okay, so if you have your business, a lot of small businesses, now home-based businesses as well, and you have somebody working for you on a regular basis. Yes. This is where this comes into play.
It's when it comes into play, and there's a number of factors that we look at. And so one factor is, are you controlling what this person does? In other words, are you saying you're going to be here 9 to 5, here's your lunch hour, here's what you're doing during those hours? Then that's starting to sound like an employee. And if it's an employee, then you need to be paying for workers' comp and unemployment. But if you say to somebody, I'm going to hire you on a commission basis, you go out and find the customers, you make the sales, and that's how I'm going to pay you, but I'm not going to set your hours. I'm not going to tell you you're 9 to 5. I'm not going to tell you necessarily how to do the job. Then that sounds more like an independent contractor.
Now, is it fair to say that some employers that maybe are more unscrupulous will try and get the advantages of having an employee without paying for having an employee? Is that?
Yeah, and that's a legal issue that we see come into the office quite frequently. And here's the dangers. I mean, and I tell people, look, we need to make sure we set this up right at the beginning because the state of Iowa has the right to do an audit, and if they do an audit, they'll go back 3 to 5 years and they'll charge you for the taxes that you didn't pay. They'll charge you for the unemployment that you didn't pay in, the workers' comp. I mean, I've seen businesses literally go out of business because they've gotten this huge bill because they didn't do it right. And one of the problems is if you don't do it right, you can be personally liable for all of that. So your business shield is not going to protect you from something like that. So I've seen bills as high as $300,000.
Wow.
So,
really?
Right. So it's an important issue. It really is.
Is that the biggest factor you run into when trying to make this decision?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, we see it a lot in laborers. So for instance, if I'm a painting contractor and I want to add siding to my business, and let's say you own a siding business, but I'm going to just give you the jobs and I'm not going to tell you how to do siding because I'm the painter, that probably is an independent contract relationship.
So then you'd be safe.
Then you should be safe. But if I'm going to hire you and I'm going to tell you, here's how you're going to do the siding, here's when you're going to show up, and I'm going to give you tools to do it, now we're starting to look more like an employer-employee relationship. The other time that it comes up is when people get hurt, because if you're an independent contractor and you get hurt on the job, then you need to look at your own insurance. You need to have your own health insurance, you need to look at your own workers' comp insurance. And if you thought you really were going to be protected and that you're an employee and you get hurt and it turns out that the employer did not have any of that insurance, then that's a problem for both parties. So a lot of times people will come in and say, can you draft up a contract for us? And so we walk through the factors, and sometimes we can draft up a contract because sometimes it really is an independent contract relationship, and so we want to make sure we've got that in writing and everybody understands both.
Now this can be very uncomfortable for some people because a lot of times you're hiring people that are your friends.
Correct.
When you're doing this. What do you tell people in that situation when you're saying, I want you to work for me, but here you have to sign this first? What do you tell people like that?
I tell people, blame me. Say, my attorney, I trust you and we could just go forward and we're great friends, but my attorney, she's going to kill me if I don't put this in writing. And bring them in and I'll walk them through it. So let me be the bad guy, or let your attorney be the bad guy.
All right, that sounds like a plan.
Now, can you go to any lawyer and have this done, or do you need to find a specific attorney firm that would know how to handle business in this?
Yeah, if it's a business lawyer, most business lawyers are going to know how to handle this. And then there's a great resource I wanted to tell people about too. You can get on the workers' comp website in Iowa, and they have 2 or 3 pages of factors and examples of whether or not somebody should be treated as an employee or an independent contractor. So it's a great resource if you're just unsure and you don't want to hire a lawyer and you want to see if you can figure it out. And then if you do decide, okay, I think I meet the test and I want to go ahead and get a contract, then give a lawyer a call and they can draft something up for you.
And you can just kind of lay out what you're looking for, and they can tell you which direction probably be the best way to go.
What's that website?
Exactly. You know, I think you just put in workers comp, Iowa workers comp.
Workers comp, and usually if you Google that, it'll come up.
Yeah, I looked at it yesterday.
Iowa's workers compensation is what is popping up, but okay. So again, just Iowa's workers comp. Just look
and the IRS also has a nice web page because
I'm sure they do.
Yeah, of course, because they're a little concerned about taxes. They want to make sure that the taxes are being paid.
There's one more thing I want to ask you about, and I admit this is a bit of a tangent, but in the last few years we've read news stories about people who were hired as interns and probably unpaid coming back and going after companies for wages. Do you have any advice about that?
You know, that's a specific area. So again, you need to look at, I mean, is the intern getting some type of college credit? I mean, are they getting some type of benefit? You know, sometimes they get a stipend. So you have to kind of look at situations by situations to try to figure out whether or not that person qualifies as an employee.
Gotcha.
So, yeah. Yeah.
Are you thinking about going back and looking at somebody you interned for, Jason, or?
No. I mean, I've had weather interns, and now a lot of companies are kind of scared to mess around with that because I think once a month I see an article about interns who've gone back after a company and wanted money.
Yeah, and you're seeing that too with regard to summer camps, because a lot of times they'll bring a summer camp counselor on and pay them hardly anything, and they're there 24/7, and it doesn't even amount to minimum wage. And so we're seeing a lot of those claims too. And so again, you have to kind of look back because there are exceptions in the law for internships and people who are working at summer camps, but you have to meet all the factors.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So
now, if people have any questions about this, maybe there's somebody who is watching us right now going, "Ooh, I think I might need to talk to somebody." How they get a hold of you?
I probably made some people nervous.
Yeah.
You can call us at 515 intern. We're right across the street.